I want to welcome you to the Retro Rogues Live. Please pay attention to our winning graphic. It states that the Retro Rogues Live show is intended for an adult audience and not intended for children under the age of 13. Parental discretion is advised. So before the show started, there was the reference to the Beetlejuice, it's showtime. And I just wanted to kind of do that, even though I shouldn't. Anyhow, on tonight's show, we're going to be talking about some things that happened at Verde Valley Comic Expo, which was actually last weekend. We're going to be talking about the passing of Gary Leach, talking a little bit about his career. We are also going to have a spoiler-free, Eric is going to have a spoiler-free review of Moon Knight, which just debuted on Disney+. And last but not least, we're going to talk about the career of Bruce Willis and talk a little bit about what's going on with him. All that and so much more on tonight's episode of the Retro Rogues Live. My name is Dave Beta. I'm one of your hosts. The last 30 years, been a professional illustrator and graphic designer. Worked on a lot of fun things that some people have heard of, such as Batman Incorporated, X-Men Sword of the Braddocks, Irredeemable, and Cuphead, the video game, the DLC, coming out soon. I even worked on that. There you go. A lot of fun stuff. Enough about that. Welcome back, as always, my great co-host. This is Mr. Eric Alexander. Eric, please tell the folks, hopefully watching at home, some of the fun things you have worked on as a creative professional.
Yes, hello everyone. I'm Eric Alexander, also known as Bass God 14. That's Bass God, not Bass God. That's Bass God, like a bass guitar. And I am the Chief Financial Officer of Bad Bob Productions, which is a film production company that is located in Arizona. I'm also currently the executive producer on a film called Staycation, which is supposed to be ramping up filming again in April. But I would very much like to introduce our special guest host today, Asia. Could you introduce yourself to our viewers that may not be familiar with you?
Hello, darlings. My name's Asia Ewing. You might remember me from the Cosmic Cafe Show podcast. I'm also a cosplayer. I'm also Fairy Black Mother without the A on Twitter and Teletron1 on Instagram. I'm a fabricator. I'm a crafter. I also do art as well, just like our darling Dave over here. And the biggest mini nerd ever.
And I finally got your banner after all these times that you've been on the show. So
I love it.
Go check her out on Twitter there. We need to get her, just saying off the air, we need to get her Twitter followers up. She's got a lot of good pictures on her Twitter account and stuff like that. So, and Dave is muted.
You gotta love that. I always forget, like, my mic's muted. Why do I always forget? I do that all the time. We do have some people in the Rogues Gallery. If you want to call them out, Eric.
So Jane's in the house. She says, "Hey guys, Jane, very good to see you."
Hi, Mom.
Very good to see you, Jane. And then Mott's is in the house. Says, "Hello, everyone."
What's up, Mott's?
And he said, "Love the button/pin."
Oh yes, so this was this actually came from the Verde Valley Comic Expo. This was actually
let's see. He called you out. So what do we got there?
Yeah, it's Moon Knight, and
very appropriate.
This was a gift from Asia, and I thought it'd be fun to wear it while you're doing your spoiler-free review of Moon Knight. Everyone knows I'm like a giant Moon Knight nerd. I think that's pretty obvious as much as I've talked about the character so far. Dying to know what you thought, Eric. And nervous at the same time.
That's all coming later.
I really hope you didn't hate it. I really hope you didn't hate it. But I'm nervous. I'm nervous.
We have two segments to do, folks, too, before we get to that. So.
He's going to get that snap in his E. Hated it. Crescent formation. Hated it.
There you go. Yeah.
Oh, my gosh. All right. That's funny and not funny at the same time.
I will make it work.
All right. So let's go ahead and start by talking about the Verde Comic Expo. This will be a collector's corner segment. We've been doing a lot of these lately. We got a little fun collector's corner action going on here. It's weird. The banner's in the back.
Yes, because I pressed the wrong button. So there you go.
All right, there you go.
Collector's corner. Banner's in the back.
There you go.
Superman comic. It was in the back.
All right. Okay. So again, this is going to be a collector's corner segment. We're going to be talking about our pickups and finds at the Verde Valley Comic Expo, but also outside of the Verde Valley Comic Expo, because Asia and I picked up a lot of stuff over the course of the last weekend. We're not going to talk about how much money I spent. We're not going to talk about that. It's not even going to come up for discussion. And I'm not going to admit to anything that even slightly references that either. Just right now, I'm just putting it out there. I'm not admitting to anything. All right. Very cool. All right. So I think we should start off with the story of the Verde Valley Comic Expo. I think we should start with a story. I feel like it's story time, everyone. All right, so I'm going to show you a picture. I'm going to tell you one of the really awesome things that happened. I'm going to show you a picture, and then Asia will lead us down the road of story time. Okay, so many members of Rogues Gallery will know this, and hopefully those of you watching on the replay later on will know as well. Stan Sakai, fantastic, legendary cartoonist, has been drawing and was also creator of Usagi Yojimbo, the samurai rabbit. I love Usagi Yojimbo. I have several volumes actually on my bookcase in the other room. I am a huge Stan Sakai fan. Never in a million years thought I would ever get to meet the man, because whenever I've seen him, he's always at San Diego Comic-Con or Comic-Con International. And you cannot get near this man because he has a huge crowd. It's a giant line. You might be able to catch him walking in between things, but often he has, you could, but it's very rare. It's very rare. I have seen him at his booth, but I have never talked to him, never gotten a sketch, never gotten even remotely close to him. And now I'm going to show you a picture that completely blows my mind. That is me and Asia cosplaying as Catwoman standing next to the man, Stan Sakai. So here's the thing that was crazy. He was there walking around. He was there walking
with
around
his family. Everywhere. With his family.
Just walking around. The Verde Valley, literally the Verde Valley Comic Expo, this tiny little show in Cottonwood that benefits the library, that is like becoming like a thing. If you have not made your plans to check out the Verde Valley Comic Expo coming up next year, you should start planning right now, because this is the kind of craziness that happens there. Stan Sakai was there walking around. Someone managed to get a sketch off of him by just asking nicely. Like, it was crazy. It was crazy. Like, it was so awesome. So we're going to show this picture one more time, and then we're going to let Asia explain what happened. So, Asia, please tell us the story behind this picture.
Okay, so it'll begin with, had you just come out the draw off?
I had just left the draw off. Yeah.
So I was manning Dave's booth, and of course I was dressed as Catwoman, making the sales, watching the booth, all that good stuff. And he comes up out of the draw off, and I see this guy. I go, "There's no way that's Stan Sakai," and his family, and he's talking to Steve Rude, who's at the booth next to us. And then Dave whispers up to me. He goes, "Hey, did you say hi to Stan Sakai?" I go, "No, that is not him." He goes, "That's him." I start shaking Dave. We gotta get. I gotta get a picture with Stan. I'm just shaking it. Honey, you gotta make this happen. So he's like, all right, we're gonna do it. So you talked to Janimal and said, "Hey, Jan, Asia wants a picture with Stan Sakai." He's like, "Oh my God, calm down." He's rolling his eyes at us because I'm hyper.
Right.
And he's like, "Come on this way." And we're approaching him because he's at Michael Gallagher's booth, which we'll talk about him after. And he's chatting with them and stuff. And Jen escorts us over there. And he's like, "Stan, this is my artist buddy Dave, and this is Asia." And then he just disappears.
Yeah, he did. Just like a ghost, he was gone.
He was gone. And so David bows to Stan, and I'm like, do I bow? What do I do? I don't say this. This is what I'm thinking in my head. And I'm just frozen. I'm trying to be cool. I'm like, be cool. He's like, "Hey, this is Asia. This is my girlfriend. She and I would love to get a picture with you. Is that okay?" And he said, "Oh yes, that would be fine." All, polite. The moment he says this, suddenly I had the power of Grayskull, and I flung Dave backward.
She almost checked me into the wall. I felt like I was in a hockey game and I was about to get checked into the wall. That's what it felt like.
And then,
I was like, do I have on my teeth still?
and then I reached my arm out towards Mr. Sakai, grabbed him by the arm, and totally Scorpion from Mortal Kombat him. Get over here! And he made a noise. And suddenly, as you can see, my arm is around him because I have just pulled him. And then I realized I had flung Dave into the next universe, and I managed to grab Dave's arm, and then I like did some crazy move and pulled him right next to me, and then Jan took that picture.
Yeah, it was.
I have to say, you don't look it, Dave. You don't look it. You look pretty natural. So,
But if you saw what happened,
you don't look like you have just been flung.
If you had saw what happened 5 seconds before that photo, and Stan legit made that noise. He went because I pulled on him so hard, like I lifted him off the air. I'm like, get over here. So he was really sweet, and he took a photo with us. And Dave bowed back at him, and I said thank you. And then we went to walk away, and I started to pass out.
Yeah, she did. It was. I was
like,
I was about to have to pick her up. she was very overcome. It was really cool. It was neat getting to meet him. And the story now has so much to it because it was funny because she, like, after she kind of came to her senses, she's like, I'm sorry about that. Like she was like apologizing because she realized she's like, I probably pushed you a little too hard.
I'm like, oh, I go, I like, you were in the, like, you had gone out the convention because the door was right there.
I was a little surprised how much power your body can suddenly generate. I was like, wow, okay.
I know he went off I know he got lifted up. He's a tiny man. He went,
Now, here's the thing that's really cool, too, for those of you watching. If you have not seen it yet, I'll encourage you. Netflix has released the teaser trailer for Usagi Yojimbo on Netflix.
Yes!
So after
really?
this episode,
Mhm.
after this episode, if you want, go out on YouTube, search it out. Usagi Yojimbo, the trailer for the Netflix series is out now. So there you go.
You got
I didn't even know they were doing it.
Yep.
I didn't even know they were doing a series.
We got to review that.
Yeah, that's interesting.
And that was the thing that really kind of freaked me out because when I saw Stan Sakai was there, it's because I was in the sketch off, which Eric, you were in the sketch off. You were sitting actually directly across from me, supporting and repping Retro Rogues Live, which is awesome. And I saw him in the back corner, and I was like, "Is that no? Surely not." And then Jan came over and it's like, "It's Stan Sakai. It's Stan Sakai." You know. I was like, son of a gun, it is.
We're all doing that.
Cool. Yeah, it's very cool. It's very cool. And that's the thing that's nice about sometimes the smaller shows is when stuff like that can happen. It's really, really cool.
Well, you definitely wouldn't expect that at a smaller show like Verde Valley. You might expect, like, I've actually had experiences. Like one time I ran into Walter Koenig at San Diego Comic-Con, and he wasn't there. He was just there to hang out.
Yeah,
if you can believe that. Like, and this was, of course, was years and years ago. And so stuff like that does occasionally happen. I think at the larger conventions, people just show up, their friends are there or whatever, and they go over there to say hi. And you don't expect that at a smaller regional show. At least I don't. Mats mentions he met Stan Sakai at the San Diego Comic-Con and said he was a super nice guy. I did as well once. I went to his booth. But this is like a totally different kind of experience when somebody's there, not as a guest or anything like that, doesn't have a table and is just hanging out. I mean, that's just such a unique experience. And to think that you were able to do that, at the Verde Valley Comic Expo, I think is just amazing. And Mats also mentioned he is super excited to watch Usagi, and again, I didn't even know that was a thing. By the way, Chris Roberts is in the house. He says hello to everybody.
Hi, Chris.
He says, sorry I missed you guys at the con. I was supposed to get the day off, but my coworker called out. Oh, Chris, that's a bummer.
Sucks,
that's a bummer, Chris. That sucks. That really sucks, Chris.
It really does. So let's Asia, I know most of the stuff you have to talk about you picked up at the Verde show. So why don't you go ahead and go next and talk about the things you picked up at the Verde show, and then I will show the awesome things that we found actually after the Verde show. Oh, your mic. Still can't hear you.
Yep, I think we got a technical difficulty here.
Yeah.
Hey, Matt's in the house. Matthew Reed's in the house. Says hi to everybody. Hi to you, Matt. We are experiencing a technical difficulty at this moment.
Yeah.
Do you think you maybe want to go ahead and go first then, Dave,
okay.
while she's trying to fix her mic issue? Because I think that's what's going on, is she has a mic issue. And James is in the house too, by the way. So James, good to see you, James.
So I'll show some of the, I want to save 2 of these for when Asia is able to talk, because these were actually her finds, which completely blew my mind. But I'll show a couple of the other things that we picked up. We'll start with the lowest hanging fruit and then work to what I think is the coolest. So we did find some Star Trek figures.
I have that one. Yeah, I have that figure.
This is really cool. I had this Borg figure like a long time ago, but we found this and got a really good deal on it. This was actually, a lot of the stuff I'm showing was actually after the Verde Comic Expo, actually in Prescott. We went to downtown Prescott, and we started hitting like a lot of little antique shops and stuff and everything around there, just trying to see if there's anything cool. In the back of my head, I was kind of thinking that there wouldn't be anything super cool, and yet there was some really cool stuff. But again, I want to wait until Asia's able to come on the show, get her mic working for talk about the coolest things. This is a kind of a really cool find. Asia actually spotted this one. I thought it was really cool. This is the 89 cool. Batmobile. This is, I have this one, but I don't have it in the package. And I thought it was really neat. And this is in really good condition. I can tell like there's no yellowing on the blister pack at all. Whatever. Anyhow, it's just in really good shape, and I thought this was really fun, and it was a really neat find. And I love this kind of stuff too from the '89 movie, because we've got Batman and Joker art, but they're comic book versions, and they're colored to look like the versions in the movie, but they don't look exactly like the versions from the movie. Like, I love this kind of stuff where it's kind of slightly off. Talked before about my love of the Gold Key Star Trek comics, because it's kind of neat, because it's Star Trek, but it's not right. Like, it looks like they're in a submarine. Everybody's got canteens, right? Like, what is going on? Yeah, you talked about
that. I always think that's funny. Yeah.
I love that stuff. And so here's another this was a really cool find. This is the Treasury version, the Marvel Super Special Battlestar Galactica. This is the adaptation of the Saga of a Star World as published by Marvel Comics. This one is, it's an original one. I know it's from, I think it's 78. It's really cool.
That Cylon image is so awesome. The one you just had on there, that is such a cool image of the Cylon there. Cool? My brother has this. And I've read it so many times as a kid because my brother had it, and I've just that's a fantastic find, Dave. That's really awesome.
It's really cool. I love these. This one is, I mean, it's just so friggin' cool. I mean, the artwork in it is really fun. And then it's really well done. I have this in a smaller, like, digest form, which is really cool. But I've never actually had this one. And I've been kind of shoring up my Battlestar Galactica collection over the last few years. I've got an almost complete run, actually, of the Marvel Comics. I did not have this particular one. But mostly the comic book stuff, I've been trying to shore up my collection. So this was really fun. It did have some damage on it. There's, like, someone tried to fix it with some packing tape. But again, this is for my personal collection. So, it doesn't bug me at all. And we got a good deal on it, which is really cool. But all of these were found actually at, again, little antique stores and stuff, actually in downtown Prescott. And I don't want to do these two without Asia. And it looks like we lost Asia's feed.
I think she's actually coming back right now.
All right, cool.
So let's see we'll see if she's got her mic Let's.
I lost everything. Can you guys hear
Well,
me?
now you're back, at least
Yes.
with your mic. So that's the important thing.
That was wild. Everything
very
just
cool.
went kaput. I don't know where you left off, David.
All right, so I talked about everything but our two big finds.
Okay.
And I kind of like to do those last because I think
Okay.
those are really neat. So why don't you go ahead and talk about the stuff that you got at
So-
the Verde Comic Expo?
We were next to Jay Photos, and Jay actually works on the Frank Frazetta Death Dealer comic, and I got his autograph. Wait, let me get the page. Nice. Boom.
Very
Now the
cool.
crazy thing about this is I was at Phoenix Fan Fusion years before, and he usually has this giant zombie booth with, like, you know, they look all like heavy, like the heavy metal zombies from the World War II section.
Oh,
And
yeah.
the line for him is ridiculous. So I've always missed his line. Here he is next to us. We're sharing pizza. So he was cool enough. I bought one of his Death Dealer books and he signed it for me. We even took a photo together. And then Steve Rude, of course, was on the other side. And I am so excited to add him to my collection with my Olivia paintings. And I wanted a print that wasn't a comic book one. I wanted it to go with my hot fashion ladies in the corner. So I got that. And if you haven't met Steve Rude and you want an impression of him, I need him and I need Jeff Goldblum in the same room so I could just sit back and watch.
Mott says that looks like a cover to Heavy Metal Magazine number
Yes.
288. That's
Oh!
oddly specific, Mott.
That is oddly
Oddly
specific. I want to know.
288.
And the thing that made me scream the most was Michael Gallagher was there. And if you are familiar with him, it's his grandfather, right, that created Heathcliff. Is that correct, Dave?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I'm a big Alf fan, and he had a box with comics, and I bought this Alf, and he signed it for me. And this is Alf issue number 2. He didn't have issue number 1. He was out of them, so I got issue number 2. And the thing that hyped me up even more was I got issue 1 of Mad Balls, and he signed that one. So I'm really, really excited about that. So I have 2 autograph ones by Michael Gallagher, and I was just absolutely screaming. And the cool thing is, at the end of the show, I got a picture with him and I hugged him. He's like, "You really made my day," and that cheered me so much.
Yeah, that's really cool. All those
Yeah.
different images there. All the different
yeah.
things he's worked on over
He
the
signed
years.
that. He
That's
signed
pretty
that to me.
amazing.
Yeah, I love this one. And this one he signed to me, which is so cool. I'm very excited about that. So that's going in my case. And it was just so great hanging out with everyone there. And I got to meet the Sharknado. What is the Sharknado's lady's real name, Dave? I always forget. Michelle. Because she was introducing herself to me. She goes, "Yeah, I had the Sharknado costume." I go, "Oh, you're the Sharknado lady? Oh my God." She's like, "Wait, you know who I am?" I go, "There is not a single cosplayer on this earth that does not know about the Sharknado lady. And you are the Sharknado." So I was having the best time, but this excited me so much. And then I want to, because I have his card, I want to see if I can get, because he also did Sonic the Hedgehog, and that's close to my heart. I want to see if I can get an original Sonic from him or something, but I'll message him about that. That's going to be one of those ones where I don't want to talk about what I paid. We don't want to talk about. And then, of course, I actually signed autographs.
There you go.
And I was happy about that. Signing autographs I was beside myself. And so many people. In fact, Eric, you took one of the pictures of the fans that were taking photos with me too.
That's right. Yeah.
So Eric took one, and those young ladies were so excited. They really were. So I was having a great time taking photos with people and creators too. And Man in the Booth. I did pretty good Man in the Booth, actually.
Yes, you did.
I did.
Yes, you did.
I make a good booth babe.
Yes, you do.
I would say you did. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that assessment. Dave Mott's made a clarification when he was talking about, looks like the cover to Heavy Metal Magazine number 288. Again,
Oddly
oddly specific, Mott's, very oddly specific. He was talking about the book, the J Photo's book. He says, no,
oh,
the
yes, the Death Dealer
Heavy
one.
Metal magazine.
Gotcha.
Number 288. And he also said, be careful because Alf loves to eat cats, which is very true, Mott's.
That might work to my advantage.
But I told you, Asia, I actually have that issue of Alf somewhere myself.
That's awesome.
It's in my collection of my childhood comics, and I actually do have that issue of Alf. I did actually follow the Alf comic book.
I had the stickers and everything, so I'm very. And he was excited that I knew. I'm like, I'm a big Gordon Shumway fan. I was like, and I gave him this big hug. Dave was around for that because it was the end of the show, and he was starting to pack up. But I really got to work on how strong I am because I forget these guys are tiny. These tinier creators, I got to be careful because I'm a little manhandling.
Yeah,
and he's a thin guy. I just like, woo. He's like, oh my. I'm like, I love you so much. And it was neat. I saw him in the parking lot. He goes, you know what? You really made my day. And that made my heart feel really good, actually. So I had a lot of fun. I had so much fun at the show. Poor Stan Sakai. Get over here.
Yep.
I'm like, yo, dude, you draw Samurai Bunny. I lift you up in the air. You need to work on your game.
So yeah, Michael Gallagher is a super, super great guy.
Oh God, I love him.
The first comic book I ever worked on, which was a Guardians of the Galaxy annual, I drew backgrounds on, and Michael actually wrote that issue of Guardians of the Galaxy. That's one of the things he's known for, is having worked on Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's very cool.
And that's actually my artwork on Guardians of the Galaxy. You can put that away.
But stop.
No, yeah. He's a super, super great night. And I always mean to do this, and hopefully I'll do it soon. I actually have 2 of the pages I worked on that I managed to get from an art dealer, actually, who actually probably is an art collector too, but an art dealer years ago. I managed to buy a lot of my pages back that they worked on. I've always meant to get Michael to sign them, and I always forget. It's like clockwork. But hopefully here soon, sooner than later, we'll get a chance to see him again, and I'll get him to sign those if he doesn't mind. And I actually own a Sabrina the Teenage Witch page, source of contention, but we will let that slide.
I was not a fan of Sabrina the Teenage Witch. I'm like, this is not my thing. No, I was reading Sonic and Madballs. And Jay actually, I watched Jay Photo's booth for him so he could get Michael Gallagher's autograph on a comic book, because he saw I had them and he got really excited. He's like, he's like, you know that lean you do when you want to touch something somebody else has, but you don't know how to ask them to touch something. So he's like doing this, and I'm like, don't worry, honey, we're friends. You can open it. He's like, oh my God. And then he's looking over there. He's looking at me. He's looking over there. I go, I'll watch your booth. Go be amazing. Go. And it turns out that they actually, 60 Days of Kevin Bacon, one of his family members used to drop off paper, I think, that his grandfather used to pick up for art or for the Heathcliff books or something. It was crazy. He had a really cool story. And he was just like me. He turned to me. He's like, oh my God. I'm like, we were like fist bumping and like hugging by the time it was over. It was so great. He turned to my best friend we met in the bathroom. It was great.
That's right.
Oh, I have to say one more thing. The window. We have to talk about the window by our booth.
Yeah. So that was really interesting. So the Verde Valley Comic Expo is in the Cottonwood Rec Center, and there's a they have like an outdoor swimming pool. They've got tennis courts. They have a weightlifting room, and then the area where it's actually set up is actually normally the gymnasium, with the basketball goals and the whole thing. And so there was an area that went back to the changing rooms, and you could see into the basketball court area. Well, where we were sitting, we were really close to the glass. And so Asia is like pretty close to the glass. And in her Catwoman outfit, she attracts a lot of attention. And so it was so funny because when we were walking in to set up, she's in her Catwoman outfit, and dudes are like,
Yeah, it was so good.
and they just stop and just watch. It was hilarious. And then as they're going back and forth from the changing room, they would kind of go and be like, and then when they come back, they would stop and they would stare, and then Asia would wave them or look at them, and they would like try to like dip out, so that they wouldn't get
that
caught
one
as they were
old guy
looking.
with the cane fell. It was awesome.
Yeah,
There was this poor gentleman was like 70 at the least, and he had a cane, and he's like walking, and then suddenly he sees me, and he's like, all of those old episodes of Batman, just like they all came. He's all like, "Woo, there's Eartha Kitt right there," and I'm like, "Wow, he's really staring." So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do him a favor. I went, and he like. After the third time, so Dave's sitting next to me, and I'm like, Dave. And then he sees them. They don't move when he turns around. But as soon as I wave, they dip.
Yeah, they do. They do. It was hilarious. It's absolutely hilarious.
These are grown men. Oh, I killed some grandfathers that day. Oh, I'm sorry.
So we do want to talk about a few other interesting pickups. These are the two that I thought was the most interesting. These are actually found at a again, one of the little antique stores actually in downtown Prescott. And these were, I was shocked to see these. So we are going through and I'm looking and checking things, and Asia's going through and looking and checking things. And she's like, you take the right side, I'll take the left. So we're like going through, looking at everything and all this, because Asia loves to go and look at the antique shops and stuff. And I'm looking, and you hear about people finding stuff. I never had no luck with that. I was like, yeah, whatever, we'll look.
And I'm like,
so I'm looking and whatever. And all of a sudden, I can hear her saying, Dave. And so I come walking around the corner, and then Asia had actually found these. Now I'm going to show you these on camera. And what's interesting about these is they are vintage. They're in incredibly good shape, honestly, for their age. And there's no yellowing on the blister parts of these. And these are pretty amazing. I was really shocked. We've actually done an episode all about Robotech. Right. This is an original Zora Prime, still on the card.
Mint.
Yeah, these are in incredibly good shape. They're a little beat up around the edges, but they're in really, really good shape. And I was surprised because there's not a lot of yellowing actually on the blister pack itself. I was surprised, but Asia totally found these. And then, did you just spot them out of your corner of your eye? Or
I did. They were in the up corner, and all I saw was Robotech, of course, is going to stick out for me, the Robotech logo. And I went, oh my God, there's one. And then there was a second one underneath it. And I'm like, I'm grabbing them, thinking somebody's going to pop up and snatch them out my hand.
Like, and these were, and we picked these up for a really good price too. I was stunned.
They were not that expensive.
Nope, they were not.
They were not that. They should not have been as cheap as they were to be out in the wild.
And they're in incredibly, incredibly good shape. I mean, it is amazing to me what good shit. I mean, these, I was stunned. And then I told her when we went out and we went looking, I said, I hear people say they find stuff every once in a while. It's like, but I'm pretty sure everything's been picked clean. And
I'm like, no. There. I said no.
She's like, no. She's like, no. She's like, you just hang with me. You'll see.
That's what I said.
And straight up, like, she was not kidding. I was surprised to find these. And Asia and I were talking. We think it'd be fun, actually, when I get around to getting stuff graded, actually have these graded, because you can get action figures graded. And I think these would be neat to have to actually do that, maybe, and show those on the show. We'll see how that goes. But I was stunned. These were an amazing find. And again, this was Asia. She's got some mad skills, yo. So
I like boop, boop, boop.
Yep.
I'm like, there's more. Let's go through. I go, listen, all we need, if you see Cabbage Patch Kids, you got to go through that booth. every time. I was like, you need to see the sound of my people. I'm like, wait, are those old Sesame Street records? I'm going in.
And then, AJ, you've picked up some pretty neat books actually on the Goodwill auction site.
That's right, because I know you love Batman.
Yeah.
So the first score I got, which I'll go the newest one, that was this. This actually came with a set of other other things. I got like an Avengers book or whatever, but I didn't even spend $20 for 4 books. And this also had this Back to the Future book with it too, because I know you collect those movie storybooks. Yep. My favorite finds, though, and these weren't very expensive either. They were under $10 each. So this book is from I gotta get the thing on it. I want to say is it 1955 or less? So this book is so old. It's in pretty good condition. It's got this is one of the storybook ones. There's this one. And this has all the ancient comics inside.
And that one's incredible.
Yeah,
absolutely incredible.
This one was printed in 1966. This is my best score that I found. It's the Penguin book. This is the first printing of this book. And it was printed in May of 1966. And this is the first printing of it. And it's got old Catwoman and Penguin comics in it. And it's really reprints of it's reprints from all the way back in 1952 and earlier. And then the last one, which I'm going to be careful and get it out the plastic because they were kind enough to wrap this one really nice. This was a storybook. It's an original Batman novel, but based in the character universe of the TV series.
That's really awesome.
Oh, that's cool.
And these are, it's like those books we used to get that were based on characters. This one, because it's the first time I'm opening it. This one came out in 1966 too, but the condition on this is pretty darn good. And it's got the old Adam West cover. I love the back. The back is my favorite part.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, that is cool.
Yeah, because if you notice, a lot of the backs of them, they all have the same theme.
Yeah, those are
so awesome. They all go in together. Awesome. And I actually picked all these up for Dave as gifts for Dave because I know how hard it is for him to find really. Because I know some of them you have them in large print.
Yeah.
You don't have them in this original how they would have came out when your mom read them.
That's true.
Jane's probably seen. Jane, I know you've seen these. And then I did score some stuff for myself because I love the Goodwill site because you'll get things in a set. I also use a thrift book site. Oh, these are the Peace Day Resistance right here. I have 3 of them. I don't know where the third one went because I got a lot of stuff around here. But the Wheeled Warriors books, they still have the sticker on them. This one says Bradley's, which I think would have been best on the East Coast. But they're in amazing condition, and the art is amazing in them. I love the art. Really and cool. I am a Wheeled Warriors fan, just like Dave is, like a big one. And I also have the entire DVD series like he does. So
what's interesting is how that came about that we discovered we both liked Wheeled Warriors is because we were chatting actually back and forth actually on Messenger, and Eric, I don't think you can even hear it, but actually before the show usually starts, I actually have the theme song from Wheeled Warriors usually playing on my headphones. Actually, before I listen to it to psych me up before we do the show, pretty much every single episode, and it's so hilarious because I love the music, I don't know what it is about it, but I usually use that to psych me up before we start the show, and so I mentioned that to Asia, and she's like, I love Wheeled Warriors. And so
then I held up my DVD.
Yeah, and it was just like, good Lord. I mean, we have so much in common.
We just become best friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, Chris says that he says his boss collects the toys for the Wheeled Warriors.
Yes, that's awesome.
Cool.
That is awesome. I need to get at least one. I just want one toy. And it's the little plant girl. Oh my God. Did they even come out with her? I loved her. I can't remember her name off the top of my head right now, but yeah, I'm going to binge that at some point in time. So I will slip this in. Speaking of binging, we have introduced Dave to Rick and Morty.
Yeah. I'm now
My daughter. He was dying laughing. We did the Vindicators 3 episode. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to start you off in the middle. Here's Vindicators 3. And he was just screaming, laughing. We were having a good time.
So hilarious. Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. I'd heard people talk about the show and how much they liked it, but I had no idea how much fun it was. And good Lord, that show is hilarious. All right, very cool.
I did want to mention something also about a show like this, just because it is relatively small. I went to a demo with Steve Root. I wish I could show it, but it went to my daughter. He was doing an art demo, and he was taking like certain reference images of some of his favorite stuff. So he had like stuff from Jack Kirby. He had some of like, Flash Gordon art, like, cause he likes really old stuff, Prince Valiant. And then what he was doing was he gave those as references to us. And then he actually did his version of it and showed us how he does it. Showed the audience the process of how he does art. And it was really, really cool. But at the end of it, he took all those original pieces of art he had just done and he gave them away. And my daughter got one of them, so she has it. So I can't show it, unfortunately, but I just thought that was so cool that he did that. So it's like, that's kind of one of those unique things that that would never happen probably at San Diego Comic-Con, or if it did, it'd be in a room with like 600 people, you know what I mean? And your chances of actually getting anything are almost zero, so I just wanted to point that out too. It was really neat.
Yes.
And part of the reason at the larger shows they don't do that is because you can't have that crush of people, rushing, the stage, the podium, right, the table, because people will get hurt. That's the reason they don't do that. And then also too, so we had a packed room for the sketch off, and basically the person who suggested what we drew in the sketch off, that person actually got that sketch. Every single sketch that was created in the sketch off, basically someone who actually attended that panel went home with those original pieces of art.
And Mott says it. Smaller cons are the best.
Oh yeah,
and
they are.
I agree with you, Mott, because at this point, I've gone to San Diego Comic-Con so many times. I've gone to the Phoenix Comic-Con so many times, and I'll tell you, I had a much better experience at the Verde Valley Comic Expo than I have at either one of those shows in a very long time.
Yeah, it's and the thing that's neat about that show too, and shout out to the Janimal. Who without the Janimal, the Verde show wouldn't exist. Because I remember when he first told me he thought that a show would work there. I told him he was out of his mind. There's not even a comic book store there. You're crazy. And boy, do you make a liar out of me. And one of the things that's really neat about that show is when he and I used to talk about that, we both thought it would be neat to have a show that's an old school show, like a show back in the 80s, and so the Verde show is very much structured like an old school 80s show, like you'd see in a high school gym. And that's the thing that makes that show special. It basically, in a modern context, recreates that vibe and that feel. So I cannot recommend the Verde show if you have not been, and definitely like if you're in Phoenix, Flag, the surrounding area, Verde Valley Comic Expo is definitely worth coming out and checking out. It's a lot of fun.
It's worth the drive. I know I drove 3 hours.
Yeah, my partner Rob drove us up, and his drive is something like that because he lives out there like in Florence.
Yeah, he is a little bit past me.
He's even past you, but he came, picked me and my daughter up. We all went down there together, and it was a lot of fun, and definitely I don't think it's a bad drive. In my personal opinion, I enjoyed it. Like it's not as bad as like driving to LA. I hate that drive, especially once you cross the border, because there's like nothing. There's like miles and miles of just nothing. And it's not a very pleasant drive, in my opinion. But that drive wasn't that bad. So
very cool.
I had a lot of fun.
If anyone else has anything else they want to add, or I don't know if there's any comments in the Rogue Scout.
What Mott suggests is we need to have the Retro Rogue Comic-Con.
I'm here for this. Everybody can vote on my costume. I'll let everyone vote.
I've often played with the idea of organizing a comic convention. I was heavily involved in the Phoenix Comic-Con when it first started and everything like that. So who knows? Maybe in the future, Mott, we'll do a Retro Rogue Comic-Con.
I highly recommend doing it in Santan Valley for one major reason. There are so many nerd stickers on every car just in my neighborhood. Like, you cannot go 5 feet without, they're either Mandalorians out here, they're Star Trek. Everybody is out here. It is crazy. I go, did we all move out here? How come we don't have a convention? So we might want to do it out here. And they just open a whole bunch of stuff, so the draw will be ridiculous. They're like, what are they doing over there? How come they're making so much money? Why are there so many So if we do that, we need to do that out here because they don't have one. And I think they need one really bad. They really do. Just as bad as they did in Verde.
Gotcha.
Well, that would be interesting. We'll see what the future holds. All right, very cool. All right. So.
Grease my silky palm.
All right. So let's go ahead and go on to our next topic here so we can keep things going.
Yes.
This one's gonna be a little bit of a downer here, but we want to talk about Gary Leach. So for those of you who may not know, I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up here if I can figure out how to share my screen. Why can't I ever get this to work quite right? Should just be able to. There we go. All right. Okay. So I'm going to read this. This is actually, this is coming from Games Radar. This is published 2 days ago. It says, Gary Leach, comic book artist who co-created Miracleman, dies. The British artist was best known for his work for 2000 AD, Marvel, and DC. This was by Grant Diarmid. Apologies if I'm pronouncing his name incorrectly. We're going to see this image here again in just a second. It says Gary Leach, one of the most regular contributors to 2000 AD, passed away on March 26th, according to the publisher's website. Born in 1954, Leach began his work with the British comic magazine in 1978. He worked on several tales in the Future Shocks line of stories, as well as some early adventures of comic book staple Judge Dredd. During his work with the publisher, Leach would meet and work with future collaborator Alan Moore. Leach's partnership with Moore reached its heyday in 1981 when the pair joined to update the Golden Age hero Marvelman. The series, which would eventually come to be known as Miracleman due to copyright issues, saw Leach's distinctive brushwork and talent for depicting gruesome scenes of urban destruction fused with Moore's somber writing to deconstruct the superhero genre. Okay, so Gary Leach is an incredibly talented artist. I'm going to put some of his work up here on the screen so you can see it. Gary Leach also, some of his worked on all different kinds of stuff. So I'm going to highly recommend that you look actually at his bio and look at some of the work that he's done. But his work on Miracleman is absolutely fantastic. The quality of the line work, the storytelling is absolutely just unparalleled. Actually, Miracleman #1 and #2 are two of my favorite comic books of all time. The artwork on them is absolutely incredible. I mean, just the quality of the work. Now, Asia, I know you're familiar with Gary Leach. Do you remember the first time that you saw Miracleman?
Oh God, I was young the first time I saw Miracleman. It would have been, oh gosh, it would have been like the earliest of my comic book collecting or reading, if that makes sense. Yeah. I am more familiar with his 2000 AD work because, I'm a Judge Dredd and all that good stuff.
Right.
So it is a big bummer. Are they doing anything as far as his art, or they're putting a sketchbook together or anything like that for him? No, I
haven't heard anything. I mean, there might be some interest in doing something, but I haven't heard of anything just yet. Eric, are you familiar with Miracleman?
I'm really not, to be honest with you. Obviously, I'm familiar with 2000 AD, but as far as Miracleman goes, no, I don't have a whole lot of familiarity with the character or the art. But the art that you just showed, I thought was fantastic. I mean, it was really something that I'm like, that's something that I think I need to check out because it looked amazing.
Did we get that in that big? Sorry.
What?
I was like, did we get that? Was like remember when we got over 120 comics? I thought that was from it, but I realized the box is
no.
with me.
No. This is my copy of Miracleman. I've had this since I was a kid. The way I got this was back in the old days when you would order from like, what was it, American Comics and Mile High and stuff.
Mile High.
When you order from them, sometimes they would throw in extra books that they wanted you to try. They threw in this for me to try, but this is an original first printing of Miracleman. I have had this since I was a child, and I was blown away by how good this was. And then, I started going through and sampling the rest of the oeuvre that was Miracleman. These books are incredible. And these two issues in particular, I think, are two of the best drawn comics I have ever seen in my life. These rival any of the incredible work done by Brian Bolland. I mean, these things are amazing. And here's what's really interesting about this, Eric, that might appeal to you. Miracleman was originally called Marvel Man because he was a British knockoff of, wait for it, Captain Marvel.
There we go. Interesting.
That's wild.
Very
what's
interesting.
Also trippy too is that Billy Batson would say Shazam and get the powers and turn to Captain Marvel. Well, Mike Moran would say Komoda and turn to Marvel Man.
Very cool.
Now, what makes this really interesting too is that the way this story works is he's been his other ego and he's forgotten that he is Miracleman.
Oh.
And the thing that makes this the second one really fun too, and unbelievably, the battle in this, oh my Lord, the battle in this is insane. But what's interesting is when Mike Moran basically turned from Miracleman back to himself, he forgets who he is, and he's just a regular person. What we learned in this one is it's almost as if Captain Marvel Jr. basically never turned back to his other identity and used his powers for his own nefarious purposes, and ultimate power corrupts. Absolutely. These two books right here, if you have never read Miracleman, you owe it to yourself, if you're a comic fan, to check these two stories out. They're incredible. And Eric, I really think these would appeal to you as a original Captain Marvel fan, to just get a chance to sample the British interpretation. But these books are incredible. I've loved these books. The thing that's really sad too, and this goes back to illustrate, we were talking about with the Verde show. Michael Gallagher's there. Steve Root is there. Stan Kaiser walking around. These are legendary creators. And I am beside myself thinking about the fact that I never even had the chance to meet Gary Leach. Never even had the chance.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of conventions, and I've just never been in a convention that he was also at. So I never got the chance to tell him what his work meant to me. I never got the chance to talk to him about his work. I didn't get the chance to get two of my favorite comics signed. So this is why it's important if you're a comic book fan. The legendary creators that are there, you owe it to yourself to take the time to walk over, say hi to them, and basically get the chance to meet basically the creators who basically informed pop culture.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
yeah, that's one of the nicest things about going to a convention is you do get to meet these people, and you can tell them, how their work has affected you, those kinds of things, Matt asked a question. He said, did he inspire you to start drawing?
No, it inspired me. Yes. My inspiration for drawing is actually my mom. I've talked about this before. My mom is who actually inspired me to start drawing. My mom wanted to be actually a Disney animator. And when I was a kid, she used to have these sketchbooks that were full of these amazing cartoon drawings of like Beetle Bailey and Hagar the Horrible and Peanuts, and it was just incredible. They were all her own original ideas. They were incredibly well drawn, and I have begged her that I want one of those. I know they've got to exist. I know they're floating around her house somewhere, but looking through those as a kid, just used to blow my mind. And then my mom would also draw and paint while we watched television. And so there was one night we were watching an episode of the original Star Trek, and she was doing a watercolor painting of Leonard Nimoy's Spock in color while we were watching Star Trek. The trippy thing I like to tell people is she was painting Spock in color. It was a black and white television. And I was so inspired by what she was doing. I asked, can I do that too? And she's like, yes. And so she got some notebook paper and she got some crayons and she sat them down with me in front of the television. And the next thing that came on was the thing that I drew. And I was trying to do what she was doing. So I was going to draw what I was seeing on the television. The show that came on next was a rerun of Rat Patrol.
Right on.
Now, I drew everything in black crayon because it was black and white. Fast forward many, many years later, it was one Christmas. My mom she'd send me these packages with stuff that had Christmas gifts in it because I lived here in Arizona. My mom lives in Tennessee. And so I opened up this package. It's like, oh, it's Rat Patrol. That's really fun. And I put the DVD in like a weekend or two later and had my mind blown because the show's not only is color, it's like vivid color. It's vivid color. And I had no idea that Rat Patrol was shot in color. I just assumed it was shot in black and white.
Because you had a black and white TV.
Yeah, I had no idea. And it's not just like in color. It's like vivid. It's like Batman bright color. And my jaw hit the floor and I just stood there amazed. I was like, this freaking thing's in color? So anyhow, but no, my mom inspired me, Matt.
She is
Hollywood's in the house. He says the Rat Patrol.
Yeah, hey Hollywood.
There is a painting of a Japanese geisha that Dave has, and my daughter saw it and she was just freaking out. Mom, oh my God, look at that geisha painting. I go, you want to know who painted it? She's like, was it Dave? No, his mom. She's like, oh, his mom's cool. So Jane, I hope you heard that. Mary's like, his mom's cool. Which is cute. I inspired my daughter to draw, so she draws too. So it's really cool. That's why I love Jane's my hero. Jane's she's cool, man.
No, yeah, that's who inspired me. But we wanted to take just a little bit of time to talk about Gary Leach, and I wanted to talk specifically about his work on Miracleman. I love his work on Miracleman. And Eric, I knew it would appeal to you. And just so everyone knows, there is a lot behind the story about where Miracleman's powers come from, because the word Komodo backwards is, wait for it, atomic.
I thought you were saying Komodo dragon.
No, the magic word is Komoda. It's not a dragon.
Your accent was kicking in.
There are allusions to actually dragons later in the story, but not initially. Komodo dragon. Right. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and get on to our next segment, because I feel like we have been waiting a long time for this.
Here it goes.
I have been sitting on pins and needles this entire hour waiting to hear Eric's thoughts. So this is going to be a Moon Knight Rising update.
Spoiler free.
Eric is spoiler free. It's a spoiler free review. Spoiler free review from the man, the myth himself. Eric is going to tell us what he thought about the first episode of Moon Knight. I am so nervous. I hope you didn't hate it, because I've been going on about it incessantly for months. So I'm dying to hear. Please take the floor, Eric, and tell us what you thought about Moon Knight.
Well, a couple things. First off, a little bit of a ground rule. The trailers, the stuff that we've discussed previously is on the table. I think it kind of has to be for my review as well. So, for instance, we have reviewed most of the trailers, most of the TV spots. We've actually reviewed them on the show. There was also a scene that came out. It was like a small, like maybe 1 minute scene from the show. That is in the first episode. So I am going to talk a little bit about that as well, simply because it's already out there. And we even talked about it on the show. The other thing I want to mention is I just think it's so funny. so ironic that because Dave, you are such a super fan of this, and I had no idea who Moon Knight even was until Dave brought it up as an article, for the official Retro Rogues fanzine, which, by the way, I do want to plug that just a little bit because there is that primer in the Retro Rogues fanzine, and you can get it in the easing form for free on www.davebeatty.com. I've got the link up there for you. Please check it out because the Moon Knight mania, if it's going to start happening, is going to be starting to happen very soon, I think. So a good example is what's happening right here is like, yeah, I've seen it, but Dave and Asia haven't seen it yet. They're going to watch it on Friday because of scheduling and all that kind of stuff. But I just think it's so ironic that I saw it first because this is very rare. We've had some reviews where you saw something and then, I have to kind of just sit here and just kind of, do my best because I haven't seen it. Right. But here we go. So, my initial impression is that I'm really glad that I got some background information from you. I want to get it right off the bat. One of my concerns, I talked about it in the last episode, was there was this sort of controversy about the review copies and the fact that they actually gave 4 episodes to the reviewers. And this was like 3 weeks ago. So there was a concern about spoilers coming out, or, because all these reviewers basically have over half the show. It's only 6 episodes. So they have over half the show. They've already seen it. And then the other side of it was the explanation that Disney put out for why they did that, which was what they said, well, we think it takes like 4 episodes before you even really know what's going on. And I was kind of like, well, that's bad for me. I don't like that, because to me, I'm like, I shouldn't have to get 4 episodes into a series before I start to like know what's going on or have a sense of what the show is. I'm into pilots. I've said that before. I think a strong pilot is really important for a series, but in this case, I was very pleasantly surprised. I think, at least in no small part, because of all the information you've given me, Dave. And again, I'll do another plug because of what you put in the Retro Rogues fanzine. Again, available for free via download at www.davebeatty.com. I had enough information that I had a good sense of what was going on, in my opinion. I already have some theories, even having never read a Moon Knight comic book, just because of everything that you've talked about. I have a pretty good idea, I think, of what's going on, of who's who, all that kind of stuff already. And that doesn't to say that there isn't like also an element of mystery. There's still definitely an element of mystery, and that's going to be fun when you see it, so that we can talk about maybe some of the spoiler stuff and really do like the deep dive. And I can ask you, well, who do you think this is? Or what do you think's going on with this character and all that kind of stuff? But I really did enjoy it, and I did not feel lost. I didn't feel lost. And that's important for a lot of people like me who have never seen or never read the comic book. I felt like I kind of understood the character. I felt like I kind of know where this is going to a certain extent, but I still feel like, they can do other things with it. So it's not like I'm going to be able to predict everything that's going to happen. Right. And we'll see, because that's something that we can talk about as the series progresses. We can start doing some predictions and things like that and say, well, this is what I think is going on, or this is what's going to happen. But I thought it was a really good primer for the character. What I am going to be curious about when you watch it also is, because you do have the background of having read the comic books, it'll be interesting to see if you're kind of liking it, or if you're kind of like, well, they didn't do that in the comics. They didn't do that in the comics, that kind of a thing. Cause I don't have a reference point to say that, but I enjoyed it. And I will say, like, the thing that it probably reminds me of the most, and I think to some degree it's intentional, is the Joker film. If you've seen the Joker film, this deals with a lot of the same kind of things that the Joker film did, but it's not the same. Like, for instance, there's a little bit of a play about whether things that are happening are real or not. And that's a big theme in the Joker movie. Like, that's actually, I think, what makes the Joker movie so much fun. Like, I had an argument with my brother, and he was like, well, I didn't like it because of this. And I was like, yeah, but the thing is, you don't know if that really happened, because that was the fun of the Joker. And They are playing with that in Moon Knight a little bit, where there is this idea, because he is schizophrenic, because he has multiple personalities. These are things that are all out there. Those are in the trailers. You know, he talks to his other persona in the mirror, which I really liked. I thought the way they did that actually was done very well. There's other things, other voices, I will say, in his head that are interesting to me because I don't really know who those people are. There are some spoilers in that regard, I think, in the credits at the end. So then you kind of do get a sense of who the voice is because they tell you in the credits at the end. So, but in the show, you're kind of like, especially if you don't know the background, you're going to be like, well, who's that? Well, who's that? You know, that kind of a thing. But it's very interesting. I thought they did a good job. There were a couple things that I thought with some of the supporting characters, especially at the beginning. I thought maybe they were pushing it a little too much, the way that they were treating the main character and things like that, where I was almost a little distracted because I'm like, are people really this crappy? You know what I mean? Yeah, granted, there's lots of crappy people, but it's like, does everybody have to be crappy to this guy for us to like him? I don't think so. But I overall, I really thought that they did a pretty good job. Like I said, I feel like I kind of understand what they're going for. I feel like I understand what the character is about. And I enjoyed the execution. Like I thought that they did a good job. And it's like, if I wasn't reviewing it, I would still be interested in seeing the next episode. And that's probably the highest praise I can give a show, is that like I would like to watch the second episode regardless of whether we were reviewing it or not.
That's wild. Oh my God.
All right. So this
that's echoes, a lot of endorsement.
that echoes what I've been hearing from actually other people. That very much echoes what I've been hearing, that it has managed to catch people's attention and they're genuinely curious to see and that has me excited. I can't wait to watch it on Friday. We'll do a deep dive on the next episode of the Retro Rogues Live for sure. My apologies. My schedule is just not allowing me to watch it right now. Otherwise I would have already seen it. I was printing shirts actually for a friend actually to have in time for WonderCon. I've been busy doing all kinds of nonsense. Oh, cool. It's been insane. But I'm super excited, super crazy excited. Like I said, I've loved this character since I was a kid. And I'm really hoping, as I've said before, and we'll see how it bears out, but I'm hoping that Moon Knight is going to be our foray into the supernatural in the Marvel Universe. They've already been hinting at it. Kind of in different things. We know that Blade's on the horizon. So I'm really hoping, because Moon Knight was also my introduction into the supernatural side of the Marvel Universe as well. Because when the first Moon Knight comic I wrote, which I think I have shown on the show, that has been mine since I was a little kid and I pulled it off the spinner rack at the comic book store, was the one where Moon Knight is squaring off against Jack Russell, the Werewolf by Night. And it's like they're going head to head. And because of that, and me going back and reading reprint issues, that's what introduced me to the Marvel's version of zombies, and all this other stuff. Like, that's what kind of got me into that world and eventually led me back to check out things like Gene Colan's work on Tomb of Dracula, Mike Ploog's work on Frankenstein. Like, that was what led me into the supernatural side of the Marvel Universe. Fingers crossed that Moon Knight's going to do that, because that's the side of the Marvel Universe that we have seen very little in live action.
Yeah, one of the things that I found really interesting was that I didn't realize that that Moon Knight is TV 14. I assumed it was going to be mature. In fact, I haven't been on Disney Plus since they got all the Netflix Marvel shows, like Daredevil and Iron Fist and all that stuff. So what they did was, now, you have an option whether you want mature content or not, because those shows are mature, those Netflix shows. And so I kind of assumed that Moon Knight was going to be the same thing. In fact, I kind of assumed with the timing that was kind of one of the reasons they did it, was they were like, well, we're going to make a show that's mature. It's not. It's TV 14. And I will say this: you talked about I think last week you kind of talked about this a little bit, about the idea of how will Moon Knight fit within the larger MCU. I'll tell you, the way it's made, it totally fits. Dad jokes and all. So good or bad.
There you go. There you go.
Like good, bad, or indifferent. Like however you view that, because I actually was expecting something else. I was totally expecting it to be maybe not fit in the MCU. Certainly the Netflix shows probably have more of an issue fitting in the MCU than this show does. I mean, it's that they got rid of the tension quite a bit.
That's good.
Not to the point that it was like I kind of felt like sometimes like with the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, that they almost took the dad jokes too hard. Like they actually like destroyed the tension because there were so many of the humor and the dad jokes, and it wasn't like totally distracting in my mind for Moon Knight. But I was surprised. I'm surprised that it's not mature. I kind of thought that was the direction they were going. I thought that's why they're doing the remarket. You know what I mean? As far as allowing mature content on Disney Plus, but that's not the case. It definitely fits the tone of the wider MCU universe. You could totally see, the way it's shot, the way they talk, everything. It's like you could just plop it right in the middle of an MCU movie and it would be fine.
That's awesome.
Wow. I'm so
I know, right?
That has me super excited because the idea that we could have a Marvel movie on the horizon where Moon Knight is standing next to Spider-Man and they could have a conversation blows my mind, because that's the kind of stuff I love since I was a kid, because that's the thing that was really neat. Those comics tonally are very different, but they're all MCU.
Right.
So even though it seems a little out of place when Moon Knight shows up in Spider-Man, it still works. When Moon Knight shows up in Punisher, it still works. Even though by themselves, you wouldn't immediately think that this is an interconnected universe. So I think that's really cool. I'm really excited.
I think that this version would totally work with any of those things. Like he would be fine. Of course, Hollywood has to tell us to bring on the Picardinator. So
the Picardinator.
Yeah, it's definitely not like that, Hollywood. I would have to say it's definitely not like that. I'm curious if anybody else in the Rogues Gallery has seen it, if they've got a thumbs up or a thumbs down. So I will give it a thumbs up. I will give it a recommend.
Awesome.
I will say check it out. My biggest concern again was that I was going to be kind of lost, and I wouldn't know what was going on and have to wait, and I don't like to do that. I feel that's actually a bad mark for a series when you have to watch multiple episodes just to get into it and know what the heck is going on or what the show's about. But I don't feel that way. I feel like I understand the character. I understand kind of what they're going for. And I'm looking forward to the next episode. I felt that it ended on a good note and everything like that. And I'm excited about it. Motzat apparently saw it and he says he likes it so far. Again, we're only on episode 1, but that's all you can do, right? So there's still 5 more episodes to go.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that has me even more excited. Thank you for your review, Eric. I mean, the whole time I was sitting here going, he probably hated it. He probably hated it.
We were betting. We were betting.
You were betting. You were
and I will say, I do wonder, like someone who's totally cold, because I'm not totally cold because of you, because you've told me a lot about the character. I would be curious about somebody that knows nothing about the character and what they think. And I'm probably going to try to find some of those kind of reviews for next time to see what other people are saying. And maybe that's where they're coming from. And they are confused. Like they don't know what's going on. But you gave me enough information that I totally feel like I know what's going on. So James Stone, he gives a thumbs up. Apparently he's seen it. So he gives a bunch of thumbs up. What is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
Yeah,
6 thumbs
quite
up.
a few.
Quite a few. And Jane says she's definitely going to check it out. So maybe for next time, Jane, you can join the conversation when Dave has seen it as well, so that we can really get into it.
Yeah, I'm super, super excited to watch it. I'm still, I am still amazed that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has gotten to the place where, regardless of how you feel about Iron Fist, the fact that we've had Iron Fist, we're now getting Moon Knight. There's a Morbius movie coming out this weekend. It's like, wow, we're there. There's been 2 Venom movies. Like, what?
Right.
Like, it's just
Doctor Strange is coming back.
Yeah, a second Doctor Strange movie.
Yeah, right. He's coming back.
And I always knew Doctor Strange would work live action.
I love Doctor Strange. I've always loved Doctor Strange.
I knew it would work.
Yeah.
But it's like Guardians of the Galaxy has had regardless how you feel about the second one, I feel like the first one is a classic of my mind. I really love the first one.
Yeah.
And the
I
fact
did
that
as
they made
well.
it work. I mean, it's just I've been surprised with what they've been able to pull off. I'm not surprised Eternals is a mixed bag, because let's be honest, the comic was a mixed bag. Give me a break.
Yeah.
So, but everything else they've done, I've been impressed. In the last Spider-Man movie, I loved
Oh
the last
God,
Spider-Man movie. It was so
that
much
movie's
fun.
so amazing. That movie, I don't. Did it win any awards? Does anybody know? Did the last Spider-Man movie?
I don't think it did.
I didn't.
That's rude.
Yeah, unfortunately, the Oscars were overshadowed by something else entirely. So I haven't even checked the technical awards to see if they won anything. So
Now, Eric, you did get the chance to see Spider-Man, right?
yes, I did. Mm-hmm.
Okay, cool. Did
Yeah,
did,
it was
I
kind of
think-
way late. I mean, it was like
Yeah.
6 weeks in or something like that. I finally went and saw it with my daughter. But yeah, I have.
I
seen it.
loved it. That it did so much justice to all the films, which was so cute. And again, everybody's cheering for Andrew Garfield now. They're like,
Yep.
yes, yes, King, we love you.
See, I've never seen any of those movies, so that didn't do anything for me. But I was into the Tobey Maguire version, so that did something for me.
He's my
so-
favorite. He is my favorite. And my number 2 is the new kid. Oh gosh, I just forgot. Tom
Holland.
Tom Holland. He
Come
is
on.
adorable. He is. I love him.
That's what my daughters say.
He right.
That's what my daughters say.
And he's a break dancer too, so he has all the moves down. Like he was perfect to play a Spider-Man, and like he's so naturally like how Peter Parker would be for this generation. He's a little goofy, he's smart, but he's a little goofy, and I just love it. It's fantastic. So I can't wait to see one more. The Into the Spider-Verse is coming. Like not just the animated, but they're gonna bring the whole. I feel like they're gonna do that whole Spider-Verse. That is the best new plot for Spider-Man I think they've had in years. With the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, I think it's coming for sure.
And the fact that they're probably going to do that live action, I am here for this. I'm like, that was the most amazing story, and they're just setting it up. They're just setting it all up, and it's going to be fantastic.
I'd heard rumors, and I really hope it's true, that if Venom faces off against Spider-Man, it's the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. I've been hearing that rumor now for a while, and it is just a rumor, and probably it's just part of it's just fan conjecture. But I think it would be really neat if Venom's going to fight a Spider-Man. It'd be the Andrew Garfield one. Like I see, that's the thing. I didn't hate the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies. I mean, I could see some of the complaints with the second one. I still think the best Spider-Man costume is actually Garfield's costume from the second was an Amazing Spider-Man. I still think that's the best version of the suit that we've gotten. It's so comic book accurate. It's insane. And so I would love to see that personally, because I really, I don't know. I was really impressed. I really liked the new Spider-Man movie. I was really, really impressed.
That was emotional. It was great.
Mott says they need a Maximum Carnage movie with Spider-Man, Venom, Carnage, Moon Knight, and Morbius.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
That would be awesome.
I'm right with you on that, Mats. I am right with you. I'm right there with you. Yes, that would be amazing. I think I still have those books, actually, the Maximum Carnage ones lying around. You know that Wolverine thing you were wondering about? I think it might be.
Oh yeah, is that from that?
I have a giant Wolverine binder with the Mark Silvestri Wolverine wrapped around the cover. So I keep books in there.
Yeah, it's funny to me, because that's the thing that's really neat that they've been able to do, is that they have all these pieces on a chessboard, and that they could craft a movie that could actually do that and it be fun. You know what I mean? Like,
yes,
that's the thing I'm most impressed with, how they've done and how they've layered and interconnected their universe. And I really, it's funny because up until they pushed all these movies around, I really thought that this summer was going to be the summer of DC. But if Moon Knight is really good, I feel like Marvel's going to pull out another win. Because I'm just that's the thing. It's like, DC, you were right there. You're right there. You flinched,
and then you moved the next year.
You flinched. So there you go.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
They sweep the leg.
James brings up Iron Fist. He says the best season of Iron Fist was the one with the Luke Cage crossover episode.
Oh my gosh, that episode is so great. And that was the thing, James. That was the thing. When I saw that episode, I was like, why the hell weren't they doing this from the beginning? Why didn't they just give us one season of Iron Fist and leave him in a weird lurch? One season of Luke Cage, leave him in a weird lurch, and when they come back, the two of them have to team up and give us a Heroes for Hire season. And they could be the ones who realize, you know what, working together is a good idea. We should assemble a team and then lead into Defenders. You know, I mean, that one episode, I agree with you, James. That one episode is so friggin' awesome. And those guys have got such great buddy cop chemistry, the two of them in that episode. I was like, this is what I've been wanting to watch. This is what I've been wanting to watch. I remember back in the late 90s when they were talking about developing a lot of this stuff, I kept thinking that a Heroes for Hire television series would be so great. You know, even going back to the late 90s when they were developing stuff, because it's stuff that they know how to do. And I remember it's like back then they were worried about the costumes. And I was like, well, you just don't show Iron Fist costume until the season 1 to season 2 cliffhanger when they have to go back to Kunlun and he has to put the suit on. And then, of course, Power Man starts razzing him for wearing this outfit. You know what I mean? And you know, and you kind of have a little bit of fun with it. And the big cliffhanger is maybe where the dragon appears, right? And like everything goes to hell in a handbasket. Like they could have had a lot of fun with that. So I agree with you, James. That crossover episode is the bomb. It's totally the bomb.
He says, yes, Heroes for Hire series and then Daughters of the Dragon spinoff.
Yes. Colleen Wing, I'm not going to get into spoilers, but where they leave her at the end of Iron Fist season 2, the fact that we may not ever revisit that is a travesty. I'm just going to say that right now. Because I friggin' love the end of Iron Fist season 2. Travesty. We are not going to revisit that. All the potential at the end.
Motz is throwing a little grenade into the Rogues Gallery, and he says, forget Marvel and DC. I want Top Gun.
Oh, no! He went up Maverick again!
Now.
No!
Let's. So I saw something, Motz, that says the Top Gun will be this year. I did not pay a lot of attention to it because I feel like they're just going to move the date again. So I have not committed it to memory because I feel like they are just messing with me. They're messing with my emotions. It is not fun. I'm very angry about it, but I thought I saw something. I cannot wait for Top Gun, but I feel like they are messing with me. So I just like, I saw it on my phone and I'm like, and I just scroll past it because I'm like, they're just going to change it. They're going to say it's coming out. And they're going to be like, you know what? We thought about it. We looked at the landscape. Oh, see, don't do that. Don't do that, David. Don't do that. Because if it doesn't come out on the 27th, oh my gosh.
That was the first day of Comic-Con. That's Friday.
Fan Fusion. Yep.
That was the first day of Fan Fusion. And wait, I'll do you one better. That's also the Tears for Fears concert.
Oh my Lord. So what this guarantees, everybody, is I will not be seeing Top Gun on opening weekend. I will not get to see it. And not even get to see it. Love of God, you guys could release this like, I don't know, any other freaking day. You're going to release this on the day that I am the busiest I have ever been in my freaking life. Then you're going to drop it. Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
Fan
you, Paramount.
Fusion, the Tears for Fears concert.
Good job. I'm already trying to figure out how I'm going to get everything done I got to do in that day. And just, here's Top Gun.
There you go.
Thanks. Good job.
We can see it at midnight. We can see it at midnight, Dave. That's what we can do.
No.
We'll leave. Here's what's gonna go. We're gonna leave Fan Fusion, go to the Tears for Fears concert, and then we're gonna see Top Gun at midnight. If you're still alive, I'll like.
I'm still alive. You might as well get an adrenaline shot to wake my ass up.
That's what I said.
Oh my God.
I'll drive.
Yeah.
If I'm as busy sketching as I normally am, I'll be good to make it to the concert because I'm super excited for it. But there's no way in hell on that weekend I'm going to be able to watch Top Gun. I'm going to be too exhausted. And that's the thing. So let's put this out there just real quick because luckily we're not doing too bad on time. But so for me, if I'm busy at a convention, people are asking for sketches. because that's usually what you want. Like I hope people are going to show up. I hope they're going to want sketches. I do sketches, just so everyone knows. I do sketches for anyone and everyone. You can come up and say what character, whatever you want. I'm happy to draw it for you. I love doing that. I love making people happy. I mean, it's fun, right? But when you do a big convention, you bring that work home with you. So what that means is when I'm not on the con floor, I will usually go eat, and then I go back to the hotel room, and I keep working. Often over the course of a busy convention, I am lucky, especially if it's a 4-day show, I'm lucky to get maybe 4 to 6 hours of sleep over the course of 4 days. Because you take the list, and then you fill the list up, and you have to clear the list so you can take more requests the next day. There are pictures actually on my Facebook. If you poke through and look at them, there's lots of pictures. You're going to see me constantly drawing, because that's what a convention is. A convention for me is this. This is me at a convention, and that's why I usually need someone there with me, so that people realize I'm not being rude. Right. I'm just trying to make, because it's like what'll happen is sometimes they're paid commissions and sketches, and sometimes they're not. Like for years and years, if someone has a hardback collection of something I've worked on, and they ask for a signature, they usually get a free sketch. Like if you're a big enough fan that you're going to buy like an absolute Batman Incorporated, I'm going to draw you a Batman sketch inside your cover with the signature, because you drop some serious money, and you want me to sign it. I'm going to make sure you have a good experience. So yeah, there's no way in the world I'm going to be able to go see a movie that weekend. It's impossible. I'll be too busy. I'm angry now.
I just forget you, James. I can't.
Hashtag con life.
Listen, well, I'm gonna have a hard enough time getting all the green body paint, because I have a feeling I will be green when we go to the concert. Because I will have all that. You remember, it's waterproof, because the body paint I use is sweat proof and waterproof. Because it's Arizona. That's the stuff I use. I don't want it coming off or rubbing off on my outfit. I don't want it, I don't want to walk outside and suddenly, ooh, I've ruined everything I just worked so hard to airbrush on. But Dave knows that it takes religion to get my body paint. It looks like a mass murder when I have my Sith Lord body paint on. I get in the tub and I'm just scrubbing. I go, I think my ears are still red. I don't. Because I really do paint my entire body. So I don't want anything to show. I've done situations where I didn't paint the whole thing, and that's the one spot that came out. The one spot. So I will be just like that green dancing girl in Star Trek, because I will be Shiva. So everything's going to be green. Like everything. And here we are. We're going to try and go to Tears for Fears. They're like, okay. Shut up. I have tickets.
That'll be interesting for sure.
Yeah.
We won't have time. I'll still be great.
Yep.
Oh God.
So yeah, but James would know what I'm talking about. James has done conventions. He knows what that's like. You get busy with those sketch requests, and you don't want to let anybody down. And you bring the work back to the hotel room. There was one show in Pennsylvania. I think it was Friday into Saturday, or Saturday and Sunday. I forget what it was. I didn't get any sleep at all, because people actually they brought their sketchbooks and stuff and everything, and I didn't get any sleep at all, and I just stayed up basically almost 48 hours straight, making sure everyone got their sketches, because it was a short show and it was a tight window, and I didn't do a lot of shows around that area, so it was like I got to get it in before I leave, because I won't be coming back anytime soon. I don't get those kind of, it's amazing, because I've gotten some incredible invitations and gotten to do some really great shows, but that there's a good chance you won't be back anytime soon. So I try to make sure that people get the best experience they can. So
yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I'm gonna help. I got us that fancy square.
Yeah.
I got the one
is
where
nice.
you can either tap or you can use the chip. So we've got the backup slide one, and then I got that fancy one that recharges and has to tap and uses the chip, and it uses Google Pay. I'm like, you draw, I collect the money.
There you go. There you go.
Here's your book. Here's your poster. Here's your book. Here's your poster. I was doing pretty good at the show. I was like, how many Batman posters do you? I think I had to count out. Was it 50 or 40?
There was someone who bought like the most amount of prints I've ever sold before in my life.
We had no more left.
Insane.
All at once.
They basically bought every Batman print I had. I've had stuff like that happen before, but it's been a little while. I was a little stunned, but I was like, okay, all right. So
yeah, he was signing within an inch of his life.
It reminded me of being at San Diego. That's what San Diego's like. You know, you have this crazy line, and you know you'll be signing for like an hour straight. You know, and it's pretty insane. And that was yeah, I haven't had that experience in a little while. It was interesting. It was fun. It was fun too.
I had your back.
Hollywood
it was
says
great.
Awesome. Thanks.
That
Hollywood.
was a fun show.
Cool.
It was fun, Hollywood. It was. I love that show. It was nice meeting your daughter. She's so sweet. My daughter thought she was cool too. She met her for like a minute, I believe. So he's like, "Oh, that was her, the girl with the hoodie." That's what she said. I forgot what she called her outfit. She had something on her outfit. I couldn't remember right now. She's like, "I remember her." It's like, oh. So it was cute. I had so much fun at the booth. I had a lot of fun at the booth, actually. I was okay when you came back. I had a lot of fun with Steve Rude, though. He's amazing. I love him so much. But it is my goal. It is my goal, Eric, to get Steve Rude and Jeff Goldblum together and to just stand back.
Okay.
Go. Because they're very intellectual men and they see the world in a particular way, and I want them to have a conversation so that we can all participate.
That would be interesting. I'll just
right?
say that. That would be interesting.
Because he is so awesome. He is so awesome, and he has these amazing thoughts, and he was just fun. It was a lot of fun being next to Steve. And I remember I have never been able to be in his line ever. Any of the times that he's ever been at any convention. I'm like, and there's Steve, not gonna make it. Line's too long. I'm like, he came over, talked to me. He took Dave and I's picture.
Yeah, that's cool. That's awesome.
I will tell this quick story. I saw Steve before Dave did. And this is hilarious. Dave was setting up in the back, and Steve was coming to get more of his stuff with a helper. And I had my Catwoman costume on. I was like carrying one thing and had my whip, and my corset. And I walked by and he's like, "Oh, that's a very nice costume." And I'm like, "Thank you." I go, "Oh God, that's Steve Rude." So I walk by and I go to Dave's booth. And then Steve had this look on his face like, "Dave, have you seen the Catwoman costume?" "Oh, well, you're looking good, Dave."
Yeah.
Goes, "You guys need to take a picture together."
Yeah. He's like, "Yeah, you guys, let's get you guys into a picture." I was just like, "Okay, all right, we'll do that right here." Yeah,
you needed one, so
I did.
There you go.
Yeah.
But he was like so ready. I feel like he was so ready to tell Dave, "Dude, I just saw this really awesome Catwoman cosplayer. You gotta wait." She's at your booth.
There you go.
I'm like,
it was it was I've known Eric, you've known Steve for years too. Steve's one of my heroes. He's one of my mentors. He has been for years and years. He knows this. I've taken classes and stuff with him. Every time he's done a workshop, I've made an effort to attend. Most of what I know about painting, I've actually learned from Steve. Actually not from college or anything like that at all. I've actually learned it directly from the dude himself. I'm a huge Nexus fan. I love his work on Space Ghost. I particularly love his work on the Moth. I was one of those people that when he created the Moth, I loved the Moth. The Moth is an incredible character. And he wrote one of the nicest things I think I've ever had anyone write inside a book for me. I picked up the Coming of Gormando, I think is the name of it. It's the latest collection of the Nexus stories. They did those in like a large oversized newsprint format. And I think I might have showed that stuff actually on the show at one point, Eric, because I supported the initial Kickstarter, but then my life went through some changes and I wasn't in a position to do anything for a little while. And he had the collection in kind of more of a digest size, and they only had like a couple left. And it's like, I want to get one. And so I got one, and he's like, you want me to sign it? I was like, yes, I'd love for you to sign it. And he wrote the nicest thing in there. I'd share it on the show, but it was written just for me. And it was I was stunned. And I told him that you were too kind, sir. You are too kind. And
that's very cool.
But Steve is, again, he's one of those legendary creators, just like Michael Gallagher. Like, if you have the chance to meet them at a convention, you should do it. If they're doing a signing, they're doing an appearance, you owe it to yourself to go over and talk to and meet these legendary creators, because we don't know how much longer they're going to be with us. And you should not sleep on the opportunity. You should not. You should not.
Jane says she says, tell them about meeting Steve Root at a Metropolis Superman celebration.
Okay, all right. We'll tell this story. So Asia's heard this one before. So because there's a sidebar. All right, so we're at the Superman celebration, and Steve Root's one of the guests. You know what's fun? Well, I'll just go ahead and tell this. I'll tell the story from my mom's perspective because that's how I know it. Steve Root's there, and he was doing sketches and stuff for people, and it was super amazing getting to talk and meet him. But the crazy thing that happened was my brother, for some reason, is looking off in the distance, and he sees this gentleman under this tree with a dog. And the crazy thing is that my brother's like, it's like, is that Alex Ross? And which is funny because Asia's seen this. Is that Stan Sakai? Because here's the thing with Steve. Steve is an artist. So other artists love Steve Root's work. People are huge fans of what he does. And so artists like the best of the best, they will show up to see Steve when Steve is anywhere nearby because Steve's just that good. And then plus he's so much fun to talk to. And so
yes, he is.
My brother's like, is that Alex Ross? And then lo and behold, it was Alex Ross. Alex Ross had showed up to say hi to Steve Root. That's thing amazing. That was crazy.
That's cool.
And he, again, like Stan Sakai, was at the Verde show this last weekend.
Whoop.
He was there in civilian attire. So he was walking his dog. He had his dog with him. They were sitting under the tree waiting for Steve to get finished so they could go over and they could sit on this picnic table and visit and talk. And so Alex Ross was patiently waiting. No one was around him. Again, Alex Ross, you can't get near Alex Ross at a convention like San Diego.
Not at all.
Nope.
Not at all.
No.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Yeah.
It's freaking impossible. Alex Ross is the gold standard. He is the gold standard. Okay. He was sitting under a table with his dog. And I remember it's like, so my brother went over because we're like, that surely is not Alex Ross. Brother went over, talked to him, and came back, and he's like, it's Alex Ross. And that's Alex Ross's dog.
Alex Ross's dog.
It's Alex Ross. And it's Alex Ross's dog.
You thought I was mad.
And so my brother is running around everywhere trying to find something for Alex Ross to sign because he asked him, he's like, if I had something for you to sign, would you sign it? And Alex Ross is like, sure, I'll sign it. My brother's running up and down the street, like going in everywhere, trying to find anything that Alex Ross might have worked on. He didn't find anything. That's the sad part. He didn't find anything. And so he's like, well, I found these Metropolis postcards with the statue on them. He's like, maybe we get him to sign those. I take that back. I think he found one Kingdom Come trade, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time since. I think he might have found one, but other than that, all we had were postcards. And so my brother got these postcards signed by Alex Ross, and I think I have one too sitting around somewhere in the studio in a box. But actually, I do have one. I take that back. Actually, now I think about it, I know exactly where it is. But it's in this portfolio case over here. But the thing I walked away from that show that's my prized possession was a sketch that Steve Rude did of Space Ghost. I'm a huge Space Ghost fan. I think those of you who are regular watchers, viewers of the show have seen the picture of me, like, what is it, 7, 8-year-old me dressed as Space Ghost.
I love that picture so much.
Oh, there's my mom. I bought
Thank
those postcards at the drugstore. See, I feel like my mom should be telling this story because she will remember it better than I. The part that I remember is just my brother going, that is Alex Ross, and that's Alex Ross's dog. I'll never forget that. That's Alex Ross's dog. The dog was elevated to celebrity status. That is Alex Ross's dog, everyone. Can I get a paw print from Alex Ross's dog?
I'd have done it. If I'd have been there, I got a paw print from the dog. I was like,
and the crazy thing is, I have a little photo book back here, and it's a picture, and it's Steve Root, Alex Ross, my brother, and Alex Ross's dog.
There you go. There you go.
His dog was a golden retriever. I don't remember his dog's name.
Back to what James said. Hashtag
call life. That's I call life.
So let me throw this out there too, just real quick. If you've never had the chance to do the Superman celebration in Metropolis, Illinois, I cannot not recommend it enough. Cannot. This year, as a matter of fact, the big guest announcement was Tom Welling and Michael Rosenbaum will both be there this year. So you've got Smallville's Clark Kent and Lex Luthor together at a convention, same place. The thing that makes the Superman celebration truly unique, though, number one, they have a cosplay costume contest that's off the hook. They've been doing it since forever. If you are a serious cosplayer, they have real money on that contest, real money. The judges of the contest are usually the comic book and celebrity guests. I actually got to be a guest judge, actually with Murphy Anderson, the legendary artist, Murphy Anderson of Hawkman, Superman, the Atom. Oh my gosh, I got to tell this story. I know we're at 142. I got to tell this story.
Are you going to do the mafia one?
For this. No. That's not. No, I'm not going to tell my Carmen Infantino story today.
Okay,
but I want to tell Murphy Anderson. I want to tell the Murphy Anderson story though. So, I cannot recommend the Superman celebration enough because the thing that makes the Superman celebration unique is that it is a town festival. It is not just a convention. It is a town festival. They have a weightlifting contest. It's a Superman weightlifting contest. They usually have wrestling. They have a midway with rides. They have all the but like the state fair food, like the corn dogs, all that fun stuff. Like it's a really, really awesome show and a really, really fun experience. I cannot recommend the Superman celebration enough. Lynn Workman, a good friend of mine, co-creator of Bushy Tells, fantastic artist who used to comment occasionally here on the show. Lynn describes it this way, and I believe it to be the best way to describe it. It's like being an Elvis fan and not going to Graceland. If you're a DC Comics or a Superman fan, you need to go to the Superman celebration. Well, there you go. There's Bushy Tells right there. Bushy Tells right there. Again, that's Lynn, co-creator Bushy Tells description of the Superman celebration. It's like being an Elvis fan and not going to Graceland. All right, so here's my story real fast. It's funny. I did a little digital comics presentation in Sedona at the Sedona Public Library, actually before the Verde show. And I actually did a live demo of this. I showed people how to properly draw the Superman S, because a lot of people don't know how to draw it. And the reason I know how to draw the Superman S is because Murphy Anderson taught me how to. So here's the thing that's trippy. As the different, because there's a portion of the Superman Celebration costume contest, there's a whole division just for Superman. So there's all the different people who are dressed like Superman. As the different people in the costumes are walking forward, Murphy Anderson would lean over and be like, his cape's too short. It's supposed to be right here. His S isn't quite right because it's supposed to be like this. And Murphy Anderson is taking this super serious. He's taking notes. Like he was like, and then at one point he's like, oh, it's like, yeah, I like this guy's costume the best because his the S on his costume's perfect. His cape length is good. And he's like, let me show you what makes the perfect Superman S. And then Murphy Anderson sketched out real quickly how exactly what the Superman S is supposed to be like. And then he began to explain to me what they were thinking when they redesigned the Superman S and turned it into the iconic Superman S that it is today. I will never forget that conversation. I will never, ever forget that conversation. And so when I teach people how to draw the Superman S, when we worked on Superboy and whatever with Scott, one of the things an inker's responsibility is to make sure that characters are on model. I've mentioned this before. That means that the costumes look correct. Murphy Anderson was an inker at DC Comics for many, many years, besides being a talented penciler himself. And so whenever I'm showing people how to draw the Superman S, I show them the same way to draw the Superman S that Murphy Anderson showed me. That was an experience I will never, ever forget. And again, those are the neat things. Superman Celebration is not a small show. It's not a small convention by any stretch of the imagination. But the interaction that you're able to have with the comic guests and the media guests, the Superman Celebration, is more in line with a small show. And I cannot recommend the Superman Celebration enough. If you have the opportunity, it is worth the time investment, the plane ticket, the whole thing. I cannot recommend the Superman Celebration Metropolis, Illinois enough if you're a DC Comics fan.
Very good.
That's pretty awesome. That's one of those events that I've always wanted to go to. I think it's just the expense is what keeps me from doing it, just because it's a kind of a little far away, living here in Arizona. But definitely one of those things that I would like to do in the future. PJ's in the house. He says, hey, fellow rogues. And
hi, PJ.
Hi, PJ.
Cool, Dave. As far as the story goes, so good to see you, PJ. Thanks for stopping by. I appreciate it. I know
Orville Nation, we grow together.
I know it's late. I think it's bedtime for you where you're at. But thanks for stopping by, PJ. We always
for all of us.
PJ might find this fun. Talking about the Superman Celebration, still one of the most surreal experiences I've ever had in my life was. There was two, but they all happened at the same show as a Superman Celebration. When I wrote, because I was a guest, so they flew me out and did the whole thing. When I had to fly back, I over the course of the weekend, I got to know Ilya Salkind. Ilya's a super nice guy. He and his father actually produced, Alexander and Ilya actually produced the Chris Reeve Superman movies. And Laura Vandervoort, who played Supergirl actually in Smallville, I kind of got to know her a little bit too, because we always seem to get stuck in the shuttle van at the same time, like it was just crazy. So we all rode back to the airport together, and I was sitting next to Ilya Salkind. I would never ever that was such a surreal experience. And so that was when I asked him some of the questions about the Superman movie that I did want to ask in public, because I was just curious, like, what about this and what about that? And Ilya is such a fun guy. And that was such a surreal experience, riding in the shuttle van next to Ilya Salkind, asking him questions about Superman the movie. It was just like, it's like,
that's awesome.
Did Marlon Brando was he really that difficult? It's like,
that's awesome.
Yeah, you have to ask him. situation like that, you have to. I mean, you almost have to. It's like,
Yeah.
When else would you have that opportunity? So
That's right.
that quiet moment like that. So you definitely want to ask him that on the con floor. That would be that'd be rude. That'd be over the top a little bit.
Yeah.
Jane also said, also, we had been standing in line to get sketches done from Steve Rude. He left the table to do the question and answer under the tent with the other guests. That was finished, and Steve got stopped by people wanting to talk. We were still standing at the table to get sketches. After a while, I walked back to Steve Rude and said, "You see those people still standing at your table all this time? Those are your real fans." He came back, and Dave got his Space Ghost sketch. She says, "I still can't believe I did that."
You go, Jane. See, Jane is a mom like me.
There you go. There you go. She's going to get her son that sketch no matter. By the way, that is one thing about Steve that's funny, because I'll just say he gets distracted very easily. I'll just leave it at that. So.
I was backing Steve up at his booth too. I was helping him out, because if anything fell down or something like that, I was on the case, because I was like, I got you, man. But Jane, that sounds like something I would have done for Mary. Wasn't I acting like that at the convention?
Yes, you were. There was some confusion about this video game room and what was going to happen. And Asia's like, "Oh, no, I got this." And all of a sudden, here goes Catwoman walking off to take care of business. And I'm like, well, I guess that you should be thankful she left the whip here.
Yes,
there
right.
You go.
And
yeah.
then my daughter was playing video games.
Yes, she was. She wanted to play video games, and Asia made sure she got to play those video games.
I go, "How come you're not paying video?" "Oh, they told me this." I go, "We're going." "Mom, we're going." I'm like, "You're going to play." And then when we came back, she was playing.
Yes, she was.
Jane, I got you. That's it. We take care of our babies.
There you go. All right, now we do have one more topic, folks. So I think we need to get into it. All right, because we're getting close to the 2-hour mark. So
yes.
Whoops.
We do have one more story in the description, and it does start out as a little bit of a bummer. So I'm going to give some context for why we're talking about this tonight. I'm sure a lot of you have actually heard about this. It's kind of hard not to at this point. It's been all over the news, all over Twitter, all that kind of stuff. So this is a Variety article. It's actually dated March 30th. So this is just yesterday. And it says, Bruce Willis is stepping away from acting following aphasia diagnosis. Bruce Willis' family has announced the actor is retiring from the profession after being diagnosed with aphasia, a language disorder caused by brain damage that affects a person's ability to communicate. Willis's family members posted a joint statement to social media announcing the actor's retirement. To Bruce's amazing supporters, as a family, we wanted to share that our beloved Bruce has been experiencing some health issues and has recently been diagnosed with aphasia, which is impacting his cognitive abilities. As a result of this, and with much consideration, Bruce is stepping away from the career that has meant so much to him. Says this is really challenging time for our family, and we are so appreciative of your continued love, compassion, and support. We are moving through this as a strong family unit and wanted to bring his fans in because we know how much he means to you, and as you do to him. As Bruce always says, live it up, and together we plan to do just that. So it's sad news. Obviously, at least he's still with us, but it's sad news that he's got this medical condition. He's not going to be able to do any more movies. Although if you go on his IMDb, I will mention he's got a ton of credits that are in post-production. So there are going to be more Bruce Willis movies to come. Just go on his IMDb and you can see there's like 5 or 6 of his films that are currently in post-production. He has been quite prolific. In fact, he's actually done quite a few even like independent film kind of things and projects like that in recent years. So there is more to come. But what we wanted to do tonight was we wanted to talk about our favorite Bruce Willis movies as he is officially retiring. So you in the Rogue Gallery, please let us know what your favorite, Bruce Willis movies, television shows, whatever it may be are. But, I think we'll do ladies first. Asia, can you talk about your favorite Bruce Willis movie, television show?
This is going to be so hard for me because I'm Gen X and he's pretty much an entire chunk of my life. And I probably could do them in like history order better. Like Moonlighting. I grew up with him on Moonlighting. I love the Moonlighting. If your parents let you watch it, or if you stuck and watch it, you watch Moonlighting. And Die Hard, which is a Christmas movie. I love Die Hard.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Yes,
no,
it
it's
is.
not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
It's not Christmas unless it's not Christmas unless Hans Gruber falls off the Nakatomi Plaza. Anyway. One
Speaking
movie.
of which, yeah, Mott says no more John McClane. That is sad. But we're gonna try to keep the vibe happy here, okay?
That's right.
Mott? He's not dead, all right. He's just not.
Right. He's just retiring, and
right.
he's
just retiring. Not under the best of circumstances, but he's still with us. And Jane is saying Die Hard as well. Obviously, I think we got some Die Hard fans in the house.
We got some Die Hard fans.
And James, no, it isn't. No, it isn't.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And one movie that is constantly on replay, like I will break the DVD playing it so much, is The Fifth Element. I love The Fifth Element.
That's a great film.
That movie is.
That's a great film. I really enjoy that one because it's got such a interesting aesthetic to it. Also, you know what I mean. They did such a great job in like the
visual
design and everything like that. And it's just such a weird movie too, but it's weird like in a really good way. You know. Yes.
The story is amazing. You stay with the plot. There's the right amount of action. There's the right amount of romance in it. And then it's a sci-fi film and with some quick fantasy elements. And it is some of the greatest performances we see from amazing actors. And he carries you through the whole film and you love him in it. I will watch that 1,000 times. Like if it's on or, if I see, there's The Fifth Element, I got to watch it. Or I'll put the DVD in if I just want something in the background. And then some people are on the fence on these, but I love him in Unbreakable and that series. Those series of movies are great. There's just that, it feels like that crazy plot-driven comic book movie. And the Glass, the last one, I think the ending could have been better. It's fine, but I love him in Unbreakable. I love that movie so much. Like it's weird because it feels like it can happen for real, but it can't. But he's so good in it. So those are my favorite acting moments for Bruce Willis, And then there was the cartoon show Bruno.
He was in a cartoon show?
You don't remember Bruno? Come on, Dave, you remember Bruno, don't you?
I do.
We go talk about Bruno. Yeah, there was the little kid version of Bruce Willis. Because remember, it was.
I don't remember that at all. No.
Oh my God, dude!
There was a cartoon with Bruce Willis as a kid.
Come on, you guys! Come on, Rose Gallery, help me out, Bruno. Come on. Nobody.
Yeah, I think you're getting crickets on that one because I don't remember that either.
My noisy crickets. Oh my God! All right, that's fine. That's fine. Y'all go to the Google and you'll be like, "Oh my gosh, she's right. It's crazy." What year did it come out? I'm gonna see what year. Dave, what was your favorite ones? I'm gonna look up.
We've already called out some of my favorites. Obviously, Die Hard is a favorite of mine. I also grew up watching Moonlighting. I thoroughly enjoyed Moonlighting. Jane actually says Ronnie's favorite Christmas movie is Die Hard. I know, Mom. I introduced.
It's not a Christmas movie.
It is a Christmas movie. It's totally a Christmas movie, Eric. It is a Christmas movie. It is a Christmas classic. It's a Christmas classic. All right, now, I will also echo what Asia said about The Fifth Element. The Fifth Element is I consider a cult classic sci-fi film. Fifth Element is so great. Multipass.
I have one. I have a multipass.
Fifth Element. I love Fifth Element. It's such a fantastic, fantastic film. It is better than the movie based on the graphic novel comic book series that inspired it, which is kind of funny. Because basically the director wanted to actually make that as a movie and couldn't get the rights and created The Fifth Element. And it's actually better than the movie based off the thing that inspired it. It's interesting. James Stone says weird in a good way equal Terry Gilliam. There you go. It's a great descriptor.
Totally agree, James. Totally agree.
But now, and I'm also agree with Asia. I loved Bruce Willis in Unbreakable. I'll say Bruce Willis is also great in The Sixth Sense.
Yes.
Those movies are fantastic. And then I'm going to call it the one I haven't heard yet, Pulp Fiction. Bruce Willis is great in Pulp Fiction. That is a favorite movie of mine. I love Pulp Fiction. And then I'll call it the one that no one really talks much about. I really love Last Boy Scout. Last Boy Scout was a
that movie. Oh my god!
Yeah, I love Last Boy Scout.
Mott's actually beat you. He said that earlier. He says I like the Last Boy Scout.
There you go. There you go.
I couldn't stop swearing as a kid when I saw that film, and my mom was so mad because they drop all the bombs. Like seriously, it might as well be called a French film because. I think they need to do I bet in the Guinness Book of World Records, the most cuss words in a movie is.
I tell you, I'll never forget the first time I saw Last Boy Scout, because when it starts with that football game and that player pulls out that gun and blows that dude away on the field, I'm just like, what in the hell is going on?
Wasn't that an SNL sketch?
Oh my god!
It actually was. There was an SNL sketch where they had that. The guy that used to bring a gun to the games.
Yeah, it's insanity. So, Bruce Willis has made a lot of movies. I've enjoyed him in pretty much everything he's ever been in. But the big ones for me are the ones that we've just mentioned. Die Hard is a big one. Fifth Element. Last Boy Scout, and again, Pulp Fiction for me is a signature performance for Bruce Willis, and I have always loved that movie. So those are going to be mine. What about you, Eric?
Well, James mentions that he said I like Looper a lot.
Looper is good.
I do remember Looper, James, but I can't say that it's like something that really sticks out in my mind. Did you two like Looper?
I like Looper.
I like Looper.
So he mentions Looper. He also says, I remember his music career as Bruno, but no cartoon comes to mind. So
just Google it. It was a cartoon, and Bruce Willis actually voiced Bruno, the kid character Bruno. It is crazy.
Well, take your word for it, Asia. It's okay. It's okay. And then James does say that Die Hard is better than A Christmas Story. Yes, I said it. Hey, it might be better than Christmas Story. I'm not going to say, I won't argue that. It is better than Christmas Story. It's just not a Christmas movie. That's all.
It is a Christmas movie. It is a Christmas movie.
Jay mentioned Striking Distance. I don't think I've seen that one.
Have you
seen that one?
That's a good one.
I have. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I don't know if I've seen that one, to be honest with you. I did see one, and I wish I could remember the name of it because it's really obscure. And to be honest with you, I don't think it was that great. But I looked into it, and I guess it's a movie that he did with Gina Carano. And this was before all the controversy, so she hadn't been canceled yet or anything like that. But I guess it was one of those things where, like, the marketing got out of whack or something like that, or maybe they just decided it wasn't that good a movie, and it never, like, officially came out or was very limited release. And I actually I saw it on television one day. It just happened to be on TV on one of these.
Extraction.
Is that it?
Yes.
So, but I didn't think it was bad, but I could also see why they didn't do a full release with it. It's kind of an interesting movie. So I just want to mention that because it's one of his more recent movies. Actually, Mott's has one that I forgot that I really enjoyed. Oh, Mott's, thanks, because this is not my pick, but I'm glad you mentioned this because I even forgot about it. I can't believe I did. Armageddon. That's a great movie.
Yeah.
Armageddon is a
great movie. Great soundtrack.
Yeah, I like that movie a lot. I like that movie a lot. I love the whole dynamic he actually has with Ben Affleck, and I'm not like a huge Ben Affleck fan. I've kind of mentioned on this show a little bit about that. But it's like I just thought that the way that they interacted was really good. The whole cast. I mean, it was really like an ensemble cast. I mean, Bruce Willis stands out, but it was a total ensemble cast, and I really that's a good call out, Moss, because I forgot about that. I forgot that he was in Armageddon. But again, there's a lot of people in Armageddon. Like a lot of big stars are in Armageddon. So I kind of forgot that he did that. And then James says, I see on Google it's called Bruno the Kid. An 11-year-old becomes a top spy for a top secret espionage agency. Interesting. Interesting. I have to look into that. I wonder if I saw that and I just forgot about it, or if I just didn't realize that Bruce Willis had anything to do with it. You know, because I'm a cartoon guy. I mean, I love cartoons. I remember like the John Candy cartoon and some of the weird stuff.
F.
Jackie
Candy?
Chan had
Yeah.
one. You know what I mean? Like
Jackie
a lot
Chan
of people had
Adventures
weird
is
ones.
the bomb. Oh my! I hope
A lot of stars have had weird little cartoons. So I don't think I can keep them all straight. But my pick is definitely Unbreakable. This is the only Bruce Willis film that I own. And you can kind of see that it's actually one of the more like the nicer editions or whatever. You know, it's got the little sleeve cover and everything like that. I was blown away by this movie when I saw it. I mean, I was absolutely blown away by it. I did not see the ending coming at all. I really didn't. I totally thought that Glass, you know, and Bruce Willis were going to be like a team.
Yeah.
And the ending, I'm not going to say the ending completely here, even though it's an old movie. It blew me away. I was like, I did not see that coming. It kind of made me feel bad. I actually almost felt sick because I was like, no, that can't be what's going on. But then when you watch it again, it all makes sense. And what's really crazy, you watch the featurette here. There's a featurette on the edition that I have. And they talk about, the director talks about it, how he's like, am I giving this away? Is everybody going to figure this out like in 5 seconds? Because if you watch it a second time, there are so many hints that tell you exactly what's going on. And it's the second time, if you're like me and you were fooled, you're going to feel like an idiot watching it the second time, because you'd be like, how did I not see that? How did I not see that coming like a mile away? And it's just because I didn't want to. I didn't want to see that. You know, that's not what I wanted to happen. So I feel like they really did, like, we talk about flipping the script and things like that, like what Cobra Kai has done. They did it first, in my opinion, and did it so well. And Bruce Willis' portrayal is really good. He kind of goes against type, because he really is like a very normal kind of guy. He's a security guard, you know? Mm-hmm. He's not a cop. He's a security guard. And his whole life is really about like missed opportunities and basically not living to his potential, which when you find out what his potential actually is, right? I mean, it's basically like Superman is a security guard at a baseball stadium. That's kind of what it is, right? I mean, it's just like, it's such a good deep dive into this idea of you know, superheroes and that genre, and really kind of changing the dynamic, because like I said, it's like Superman just became a security guard somewhere. That's all he's been doing for, like, you know, his entire life. So that's my top pick. And like I said, I can never give any higher praise to an actor or director than to say I own your film on physical media, because again, I don't have a huge collection of physical media, so this is the one that I have, and that's my pick.
Very good.
There's a very memorable line in that. Now that we know who you are, I know who I am.
That's gives me chills. Yeah, gives me chills, especially just the whole context of it. It just gives me chills. James also mentions 16 Blocks was great.
Yes,
yeah, 16 Blocks was good.
It's good.
Good movie.
That one's good.
That's another one I can't doesn't come to mind right away. I don't know if I saw it or not.
This is one of the few non-nerd movies I've watched.
I don't think anybody considers Die Hard a nerd movie. You know what I mean? It's an action film. It's like it's right up there with Rambo and Terminator, right? I mean,
I'll watch those.
I mean, Die Hard is right up there. I mean, you can't get much more mainstream than Die Hard, right? I mean, it's super mainstream. So, but yeah, he's done a lot. He's done a lot. And like I said, I would encourage people to go check out the IMDb page for him, because there are multiple movies that are listed for him in post-production. So there is going to be more to come.
Yeah, it's, you know, Bruce Willis has had an amazing storied, you know, career, in my opinion. You know, a lot of really great, memorable films. And a lot of them are favorites of mine. Like, he's got a lot of favorites that of mine personally. And it's interesting too, because not every actor can have like a classic, you know, action movie and a classic sci-fi film, you know, and a classic out of the box, you know, almost avant-garde film, like, and have all of them be good.
Yeah, they're all amazing.
They're all good.
Superhero with Unbreakable. I mean, like basically horror thriller if you want, or for Sixth Sense, right?
Yep.
Sixth Element, like you said, sci-fi, and then of course his big thing is action hero. You know what I mean? With like Die Hard and stuff like that. So he's covered all the major genres.
And corny detective in Moonlight.
Yeah, that's how he started.
I love Moonlight.
There you go, the TV show. Yeah.
And at one time was so popular it was parodied in other movies. You know, it's sort of like Moonlighting, isn't it?
Yeah.
So, to reference the first live action Turtles movie.
Like Moonlight.
So, kind of like Moonlighting, isn't it?
That's funny because I think today is the anniversary. I can't remember which one it is, but today is the anniversary of the first Teenage Mutant Turtles movie.
I love that movie
so
really?
Much.
Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. Somebody was tweeting that out.
Wise men say forgiveness is divine, but never pay full price for lay pizza.
James brings up one. Yeah, this is controversial. He says Hudson Hawk is my guilty pleasure. So good. I think he's saying so
Lord.
bad it's good.
So
he says so good it's bad.
Oh,
I think most people actually, James, think it's so bad it's bad. You know what I mean? I mean that's a controversial choice, James. I'm sorry.
I actually saw Hudson Hawk in the theater and I was so confused. Like I was like I begged my parents to take me to see Hudson Hawk. Like I was all excited and I watched it. I'm like, what just happened?
I feel like Hudson Hawk is like, I feel like Arnold had the same sort of thing with Last Action Hero.
Oh,
like,
God.
Both have that, like it has its fans, you know, but when you sit back and look at it, like, I don't know about this.
It's ironic you say that because Last Action Hero is a guilty pleasure of mine. I admit it's a terrible film. I like it. When it comes on, I watch it. Like if it's on TV, I'll sit down and watch it.
So corny.
I know it is. It is.
Someone loaned it to me. I'd say within like 5-6 years or something. Said I really liked this movie, and I put it and I watched it and I enjoyed it. But I'm just saying, it's like Hudson Hawk for Bruce Willis. I feel like is last action hero for Arnold. It's that one movie. You're like, I don't know about this, like because it's like I'll watch it. It's not bad, but it's just it's weird because I feel like it doesn't fit your imagination. You know what I mean? That's what makes it weird. It's like you have in your mind what this kind of movie is going to be like, and what that kind of movie is going to be like, and then you go in and you know, because like that's the thing. It didn't fit my imagination.
The trailers lied to us so much. That's why I wanted to see that movie so bad. I'm like, Mom, was the Bruce Willis or Hudson Hawk? And we're in the theater and they're staring at me. This was your idea.
Oh my. There you go.
I think Hollywood gets the last word on this because, of course, he has to do it. He says, "Well, his favorite, the Picardinator." He said that was great too. So
I can't.
He always has to say that. So
I refuse to chat. Why Hollywood? Why? I'm going to bed. All right. Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Oh, and they were talking. Hollywood, actually, we do need that. We need to discuss that again. The Retro Rogues intro music that Hollywood made for us. We've got to get that on the show. So we got to get that going.
Yes,
for sure. All right. Unless anyone has anything else they want to add, I think that might be it.
That's it.
All right, cool. All right, so we're going to go ahead and go to the outro. All right, very cool. All right. I want to thank all of you for watching this episode of the Retro Rogues Live. My name is Dave Beatty. I've been one of your hosts. If you're curious to learn more about me, please feel free to check out my website. It's over at www.davebeatty.com. That's DAVEBEATY.com. You can find all kinds of fun stuff. Very soon, the new Dave Beatty sketchbook will be available for sale on there. It is not on there just yet because I have not had time to post it up yet. However, hopefully by next week it will be available. Quite proud of it. I think it turned out really good. There's a lot of really great art actually inside the book. I think people will really enjoy it, and that will be available on the website again, hopefully by next week. Very cool. All right, thank you, Aisha. All right, so that's going to do it for me. I want to thank, as always, my great co-host Mr. Eric Alexander. Eric, please tell the folks watching at home where they can learn more about you on the interwebs.
Well, I am most active on Twitter, so you can find me there at BassGod14. That's at BASSGOD14. That's also the official YouTube. That's also the official Twitch account. So if you comment on any of those platforms, more likely than not, I'll be the one responding back to you. I do appreciate your comments. Please let us know what you thought of the show, good, bad, and different. I always like your comments, and my DMs are wide open on Twitter. So you can always DM me and let me know if you have a suggestion for the show, a topic you want us to cover, movie you want us to review, gossip, whatever you got. I'm more than happy to feature it on the show. And Asia, you want to tell everybody about where folks can find you? Because I think I finally have that banner for you. So
that's right. Thank you. So on Twitter, I am Fairy Black Mother. That's without the A. And I post a lot of my cosplays, things that I'm doing around town. You will probably see me a lot at the conventions with Dave, of course. If you are on Instagram, I'm Teletron1 there. So it's Teletron1 like Transformers. So instead of Teletran, it's with the O. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for having me on. I always have a lot of fun. And thanks again for helping us load up the vehicle when we left the convention, Eric. I appreciate it very much, darling.
More than happy to do that. More than happy to do that. Did have just a couple more comments we have there. Hollywood said, great show, guys. Bye, everyone. Thank you, Hollywood.
Bye, Hollywood.
Mott said, great show tonight. Good night, everyone. Don't forget that Top Gun 2 comes out May 27th, 2025.
That's not
I think
funny.
we're going to have to leave Mott with the last word on that
Not
one.
funny.
Oh my God.
That's not funny.
We got to leave Mott with the last word. That was good, Mott.
The disrespect.